अब हाम्रो कार्यक्रम सुरु हुनै लागेको छ। कृपया बसिदिनु होला। धन्यवाद। Excellencies, distinguished guests, media colleagues, representatives from the government, UNICEF Nepal's National Ambassador Ani Dolmaju, and the government champion for nutrition, Mr. Paras Khadga, र नेपाल टेलिभिजन तथा NTV Plus द्वारा प्रत्यक्ष प्रसारण हेरिरहनु भएका समस्त महानुभाव दर्शकहरूलाई on behalf of UNICEF's Regional Office for South Asia and the National Health, Education, Information and Communication Center, NHICC, under the Ministry of Health and Population, I would like to welcome you all to the special program today. Good morning and a warm namaste to all of you. I'm Rupa Joshi from UNICEF. In this short program that weaves its way around nutrition, we will be witnessing the launch of the renowned actor from the Indian silver screen and a social activist par excellence, Mr. Aamir Khan, as UNICEF's regional ambassador for South Asia. Following that, we are also going to see the launch of Nepal's own campaign of Sunaula Hajar Din, or Golden 1000 Days. And the program will end with a musical interlude from the Kutumba Band and a South Asian dance by adolescent boys and girls from mighty Nepal. For the media, there will be a Meet the Media interaction with the newly appointed UNICEF regional ambassador and senior UNICEF officials right after the formal launch event. But before we begin the program, I would like to humbly request all of you to please put your mobile on silent mode. Dhere dhere dhanyavad. Ladies and gentlemen, already up on the stage are Ms. Karen Hulshoff, UNICEF's Regional Director for South Asia, as well as Mr. Tomo Hozumi, UNICEF Nepal representative. And then, of course, we have on stage Mr. Aamir Khan. Mr. Aamir Khan, the actor who has charmed his audience across the South Asian region with his acting prowess for over a quarter of a century, and who in recent years, through his thought program, Satyameva Jayate, has helped to shed much needed light on oft-neglected issues. A scan of coverage in mainstream and social media in Nepal in the past couple of days has already demonstrated how nutrition, and therefore malnutrition, can become a topic for household discussion when it is flagged by a celebrity by the stature of Mr. Khan. So starting with today's program, I would like to request UNICEF's Regional Director for South Asia, Ms. Karen Hulshoff, for her remarks, and also to introduce UNICEF's new Regional Ambassador for South Asia. Karen.
Namaste and welcome to all. Thank you for attending a very, very special event, the signing ceremony of Mr. Aamir Khan as UNICEF's Ambassador for Maternal and Child Nutrition in South Asia. Of course, we know Aamir Khan as a top-notch actor, director, producer, and one of South Asia's most respected film stars. We also got to know Aamir Khan from his TV show, Satyameva Vijay, which addresses serious social issues with courage, realism, and determination. I believe that Mr. Khan has accepted to become UNICEF's ambassador for South Asia because he really cares about bringing change, positive change, to transform the present and the future of South Asia's children. Amir, we first met in 2010, I was then the UNICEF representative to India. I remember vividly the many days of hard work in your apartment, sitting around the couch, and we were laying the foundation for a nutrition campaign called Kupusan Bharat Chodo, a large-scale multimedia nutrition communication campaign that reached 116 million households. In his new capacity as ambassador, Mr. Khan will support UNICEF's work to promote the right of South Asian children to nutrition, with a focus on ending stunting in infants and young children. In this region, 4 out of 10 children under the age of 5 have stunted growth due to chronic undernutrition. In addition, an estimated 28% of children are born underweight, largely due to women's poor nutrition before and during pregnancy. Nutrition is key to children's survival and development. Of course, we know well-nourished children are healthier, cleverer than their undernourished peers. They grow and develop to their full potential, and they perform better in school and as adults. Research shows that there is a critical 1,000-day window of opportunity from conception to the age of 2 to prevent child stunting and break the intergenerational cycle of undernutrition. Once this window closes, for most children, it closes for life. Aamir Khan becomes UNICEF's ambassador as we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The Convention has inspired domestic legislation to respect, protect, and fulfill child rights in all 8 countries of South Asia, as well as the creation of policy and national development plans for their implementation. Yet, pervasive poverty and disparities prevent millions of children in South Asia to live a life in dignity, reaching their potential and making choices about their own future. With the immense respect that Aamir Khan commands, we are convinced that Amir will make a lasting difference in the fight against child stunting, potentially the biggest threat to children's growth and development in this part of the world. Amir exhibits hope and inspiration in his movies and in his recent TV production. As a UNICEF ambassador to South Asia, he will bring attention to child nutrition to the next level. In the words of Amir, "Bache hai, tare zameen par." Which means that children are stars on earth. Each and every child is unique. South Asia, and at UNICEF, we commit ourselves to improving children's lives and transforming the future. We are thrilled to count on Amir to join us in this journey. Dhamyavat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, for that wonderful introduction to Mr. Khan and for highlighting the role that he can play in raising the bar for addressing issues relating to malnutrition in the entire South Asian region. So up next is the induction ceremony for UNICEF's Regional Ambassador for South Asia. This is being done through a signing ceremony by Ms. Karen Hulshoff and Mr. Aamir Khan. But first, a short visual. Just a second. Okay, now we shall proceed with the signing ceremony. Lights on, please. Congratulations, Mr. Khan. So, ladies and gentlemen, we shall now hear from the actor, director, screenwriter, producer, television presenter, and now the UNICEF Regional Ambassador for South Asia for Maternal and Child Nutrition, the only Mr. Aamir Khan. Amir ji, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. A very good morning to everyone. I'm really happy to be here in Nepal, and I'm really happy to be part of this effort to work against malnutrition, and it gives me great joy. It's a great honor for me to be selected as a brand ambassador for the region of South Asia, and it's a responsibility that I look forward to. It's a responsibility that I welcome, and I hope that I'm able to contribute to this in a significant way. This is an issue which, when it was brought to my notice, this issue of malnutrition, when it was brought to my notice, I realized how serious it is and what ramifications it can have. And this began for me about 5 years ago. About 5 years ago, roughly, I'm not very good with times, it may be 6 years. But about 5 years ago, a group of members of parliament in India came to meet me. They were from different political parties. And they came to meet me and said that we've come to request you to be our brand ambassador to communicate about malnutrition in India. I was very impressed in that meeting. At first I was a little suspicious, but then as the meeting went on, I realized that they were all very sincere. There were MPs from BJP, Congress, NCP, different political parties. They were all come together. And we don't often see different political parties. Normally we see them fighting and disagreeing. But here was an issue on which all of them were together. And they had come together to request me to try and take this issue forward and, spread information in our country about this issue. And that is how the journey started for me. When they mentioned to me that around 48% of children in India are malnourished, that's almost 1 in every 2nd child. It's about half our population, roughly. Very, very alarming figures, and very, something that's of great concern, which means that half our children will grow up undernourished. They will not come to their full potential physically, mentally, and perhaps emotionally. And that's a very sad reality, and that is because of lack of nourishment in the first 2 years. As Karen was mentioning, it is the first 2 years, that window, the first 1,000 days actually, from the time that the child is conceived in the mother's womb till the child is 2 years old, the first 1,000 days. And in that period, if we don't intervene and make sure the child gets proper nutrition, then that window closes, and it is very difficult then to help the child thereafter. The damage, so to speak, would have been done by then. Now, this is a very alarming thing, and something that, is something that, for various reasons, I mean, even if you look at it from a national point of view, from a social point of view, you don't want half your population dependent on the other half, or not contributing, or not productive enough to your society, to your nation. But that's the, a different reason. I think even on a human level, just on a human level, the fact of the matter is that there are so many children who are underprivileged, who need our help and support. And just on the human level, I think we ought to at least make sure that they have the proper nutrition for the first 2 years. At the very least, we should try and do that on a human level. And that is how I got involved in this fight against malnutrition. And then, along with the MPs, I went and met the Prime Minister, requested him to allocate some funds for this campaign, which was essentially information campaign where we tell people about malnutrition. But see, malnutrition, unfortunately, is not seen. Visually, you don't come to know whether the child is malnourished or not. He seems fine, But when a child is slow, a child is perhaps not showing interest in many things around him, these are signs of malnutrition. Not able to catch up in school with the rest of the class, these are signs of malnutrition. You know, these are symptoms of malnutrition. So it's not obvious visually that a child is malnourished. And that's where the danger lies, because it's a silent, it's an unseen enemy, so to speak. And so it's you know, that much more important for us to be aware of what the steps are. And I'll quickly go through the first 4 steps. The media is here, and that's why I'm going into details. I'm hoping that you would spread this information across everyone here in Nepal and everywhere. And that is that from the time that the woman conceives and has a baby, conceives and has a baby in her womb, from that time onwards, the nutrition of the mother is extremely important. The nutrition needs to go up appropriately. She's now feeding not only for herself, but for the baby that's growing inside her. She needs rest as well, so that she is able to carry her child well and give the child everything that it needs. Now, this responsibility of nutrition and rest is not only with the mother, it is also with the father. It is also with the other family members who are there around her. They should all make sure that she eats first. You see, in India and in many parts of South Asia, we have this custom where the woman eats last. The woman eats last. Often she eats the least. Whatever is left over is given to her. And you know, these are realities which are social realities. So we have to realize that we have to, you know, come out of this thinking. When a woman is pregnant, she has to be the center, you know, of our attention. She has to be the center of, there is a miracle happening over there. And she has to be the center of our attention and love. So that is the first thing. When the moment a woman gets pregnant, her nutrition has to go up, her rest has to go up. Responsibility lies with the entire family. Then when the baby is born, the first 2 days, the mother's milk is very important for the baby. The first 2 days, the mother's milk has got certain qualities which give the child immunity against many diseases. So that milk, which is slightly thicker, slightly yellow in color, it's called colostrum. And that is very important. For the first 2 days, many places in India we realized, in our research we came to know that a lot of people feel that first 2 days the milk is not pure and therefore should not be fed to the child. But in fact, the opposite is true. You must try and feed the child as much as possible with the mother's milk in the first 2 days of the child being born. So that's the second big step. The third big step is that for the first 6 months of the baby being born, the baby should be given exclusively only mother's milk. No water, no other things. Water is a carrier of many diseases. So this is the third big step, exclusively mother's milk to the baby for the first 6 months. And the fourth step is for the period of up to 2 years, from 6 months to 2 years, the baby should get mother's milk and nutritious food, starting nutritious food for the baby for the first 2 years. Now, if we do these 4 basic steps, then we can make sure that our children are not malnourished. I'm aware that there are a lot of people who are very, very underprivileged, very poor economically, from a very backward part of society, and for them, when we tell them these things, it might not make sense to them. I mean, they don't have enough to feed themselves. So I know that in India, the government of India has, in its program, assured a woman with extra nutrition, along with supplements like, iron and folic acid medication. But apart from that, just nutrition, extra nutrition. So when a woman gets pregnant, she goes to the Anganwadi and registers herself as a potential mother. And then that help from the government of India begins for that lady. This is the kind of, this was our communication essentially in our campaign, which we worked on with UNICEF and with the Ministry of Women and Child Development back home in India. And these are the 4 basic things that we need to do, and reach out to women who are not in a position to follow these 4 steps, and reach out and help them to follow these 4 steps. So whether it's, government agencies that need to do what they need to do, UNICEF is of course working, but all of us need to be aware of that. I wasn't aware of this myself, I mean, as an individual living in a city like Mumbai, I didn't know of these 4 steps until I spoke to the people who are dealing in this issue. So I think that this is a battle which is against malnutrition, which is an extremely important battle which all of us need to be a part of. And I think it just promises our children, our future generation, the potential to a better life, and that's the least I think that we can do for them. So it gives me great joy to be part of this struggle, and I will do everything that I can to make sure that our children have the rights that they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amir ji, for stressing on the importance of nutrition in the first initial days of your life. And we've witnessed your commitment to that level when we were on a field trip yesterday in Pakadi VDC of Kapil Vastu, where you interacted with the female community health volunteer, interacted with the mothers who are giving, dealing with nutrition issues, and the way you fondled and cuddled children and babies in the field. So thank you so much for that.
I'd like to add something here. When I was there on the field trip, I've been to places in India also where there is a lot of poverty, and when I went yesterday, two, 3 things hit me. One is, the way the women were committed to doing what they were doing. The volunteers. I want to congratulate all the volunteers working here in Nepal and in other parts of South Asia for the huge commitment that they are showing in this work. And I think that as a society, we really need to value them more. So I think wherever possible, if governments can make sure that they get compensated in some way. A number of women told me that they would need bicycles, they need mosquito nets, and don't have some basic resources, which I think we should try and get through to them. But importantly, what I wanted to say is that as I was in the car and I was going to these places, it occurred to me that it's just a matter of chance that I was born in a city, in a household which was economically comfortable. It's just a matter of chance. I could very well have been born in a village where there is abject poverty. And when I met those people, I really felt that there's absolutely no difference between them and me. And it's a matter of chance that I was born here and not in a village where there was a lot of poverty, where I would not perhaps have got the nutrition that I got. And it felt very unfair, it felt very uncomfortable to me. I didn't know how to deal with that reality, this huge inequality that exists. And I don't know how soon we can address this issue of inequality across the world, but at the very least, we can try and make sure that we do the basics right. We try and reach out to these people to make sure simple things like, no child should be malnourished. But this is a simple thing we can do. We perhaps can't turn the whole issue around on its head, but we can start by making sure that the children who are, especially in underprivileged areas of our region, should get this basic nourishment, so this is something that I just wanted to say. I'm sorry I interrupted you in the middle.
No problem at all. I mean, you were talking about equity. Thank you so much. So yesterday, like I said, we had taken Mr. Khan to better understand this issue. Actually, UNICEF had made arrangements for him to observe the government's nutrition-related programs in Kapil Vastu district. And what you will be seeing now is a visual montage of that trip to Pakadi VDC. The background music that has been provided is courtesy of Kutumba Band. The video please now. So please excuse us, the audio is not working, so we'll try to come to you later again with the video and the audio. Can we have the lights, please? So as part of the first task that Amir Khan has taken as a regional ambassador, Mr. Khan will now request Mr. Own National, the Nepal's national champion for nutrition and captain of the Nepal cricket team, Mr. Paras Kharka, to launch the Sunoda Hazar Din, or the Golden 1000 Days, by unveiling the mnemonic on the left side of the stage. So Mr. Kharka is right there. So gentlemen, just wait a second. So simultaneously, there's this other side of the stage too. Simultaneously on the other side, the logo of the campaign is going to be revealed jointly by the representatives of the National Planning Commission, as well as the 6 related ministries working together for the campaign. So I'd like to call on stage Dr. Govinda Pokhral, Vice Chairperson of NPC, and the Honorable NPC member Dr. Yagabhadur Karki, who is also the Sun focal point. And I would also like to call on stage the various secretaries of the ministries, Mr. Shantabadur Shrestha from the Ministry of Health and Population, Mr. Jay Mukunda Khanal from the Ministry of Agriculture Development, Ms. Dr. Somlal Subedi from the Ministry of Federal Affairs and Local Development, Mr. Arjun Karki from the Ministry of Urban Development, Mr. Dhanbadir Tamang from the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare, Mr. Bishop Prakash Pandit from the Ministry of Education, and Mr. Sharada Prasad Nepal from the National Planning Commission. So please come on stage and be ready to reveal the mnemonic on the right side of the stage. So do we just pull? Are we supposed to pull the thing? Okay, so if I can find you again, together. You want to join me? Join me, come. Yeah, you can do that. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Can you just say a few words, maybe? Just a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I think welcome Mr. Aamir Khan to Nepal. I think he has covered most things here. I think it's a great opportunity for me. Thank you, UNICEF, for having me here. And I think it's very important that all of us, do this together. I don't think it's just because he comes here and it's an event and, like me being an ambassador and talking here, I think it's a responsibility all of us should take, and it's happening. All of us are going to become a father, a mother someday. So it's our responsibility to take care of our child, and it starts, like he said, from the day the child is conceived to the 2 years period that we have. So it's very, very important. We start from day 1 onwards. And I would like to wish everybody involved with this campaign all the very best. I think this is day 1 of 999 days. We'll do a preview every 6 months, every 3 months, as to see what kind of progress that we have made. And hopefully, I think the results will be seen. I think there are a lot of good people involved with this initiative. So I'd like to thank everybody out here for coming up for this event, and hopefully we'll make this a huge success and there'll be no more malnutrition in South Asia anymore. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kharga. And we are confident that with the rolling of the Golden 1000 Days, you will be able to hit sixers for the cause of nutrition in Nepal. And with someone like Mr. Amir Khan pushing for nutrition at the regional level, your efforts at the national level in Nepal will surely be able to ensure that boys and girls will see a bright and healthy and a Poshan-yukta future. And now I'd like to request all of the guests on our stage, if you can please go down and take seats on the sofa, because we'll have performances now. And I'd like to request members of the Kutumba Band to please take your seats. So distinguished guests, the first of these performances is the recital of special music piece composed by the Kutumba Band to reflect the journey of the 1,000 days that spans from the conception of a baby to its second birthday. And for those of you who have not heard of Kutumba, they are a folk instrumental ensemble comprising of 6 professionals from Kathmandu who are committed to the research, preservation and celebration of diversity that exists in indigenous Nepali music. Kutumba in Nepali stands for a unique bond amongst community members, and true to their name, they prefer to be known as a group and not for the various individuals that form the band. And over the years, Kutumba has brought together traditional folk tunes and instruments with new and improvised sounds and ideas. And today we are going to hear about what they have composed to reflect the Sunaula Hazar Din, to the sounds emanating from the Basuri, Sarangi, Madal, Tungana, Dhol, Dhime and Jhanta instruments. Over to you, Kutumba. Thank you so much, members of the Kutumba Band. And ladies and gentlemen, you might have noticed that their music took you through the entire 1,000 days. It started with the courtship of the couple, and then the moment you clapped, the applause, was when the baby was born. And the crescendo before that was the labor pain, okay? And then, of course, it goes into the playful childness of the 2 years. So that is their signal tune for the 1,000 days. Thank you so much once again. And towards the end of the show, because we are still waiting to see whether the video and the audio will work, so I cannot call it part of the show. And as a fitting tribute to the launch of the regional ambassador for South Asia, we now have adolescent boys and girls from the NGO Mighty Nepal performing a dance to reflect the diversity and unity of the South Asian region, representing SAARC. And as you all might be aware, Mighty Nepal is a non-profit organization dedicated to helping victims of sex trafficking. Currently, it operates a rehab home in Kathmandu, as well as transit homes at the Indo-Nepal border towns and preventive homes in the countryside. Mighty in Nepal means the home of a girl's parents, and the name for the organization that is a home to all the girls, women, and children who are not accepted into the family and society, and symbolizes the love and affection that the girl receives in her parents' place, her Mighty. So over now to our young boys and girls. मुटुबाट बजाइदिनुस् रे होइन रे यो Big round of applause for these boys and girls, please. Thank you so much for the spirited dance. Ladies and gentlemen, there were Akash Tamang, Elina Shrestha, Anju Thapa, Dilmaya Bika, Jay Lakshmi Malla, Lakshmi Thapa, Manoj Kumar Singh, Preeti Sherpa, and Soni Shrestha. Thank you so much. Okay. And as you must have realized, there were slight hitches while the music was being played. It was a kind of labor pain and some miscarriages. Just shows how important nutrition is for maternal health. And now we are trying to play to you again another labor attempt to try to show the video, the montage video from Kapil Vastu.
We are here, it's a very special occasion. It's the occasion when we will have Amir Khan, really Amir Khan, as Goodwill Ambassador for the region here in whole South to help stop stunting and to help children to get rid of malnutrition. It's very important to have him here. You saw the crowds all along the way, and that Amir moves people. So if we know that 4 out of 10 children are actually malnourished, we need someone like Amir Khan to draw the attention of decision makers to change that and to make sure that in whole South Asia, children can develop to their full potential. So we are thrilled to have Amir Khan as our Goodwill Ambassador.
शक्ति देवा जाए, ज्ञान बुद्धि देवा जाए, हमरा ऊपर देवा जाए, और सब सुधर गया है। अभी कुछ कमी है तो सुधार करा जाता है। ऐसे आवा जाए, कहा जाए, सुधार देवा जाए, जितना हमरे सुना उतना हमरे करब, और उतना गाँव में फैलाई, फैला में कहा, घर में जाए कहा, ऐसे सबके ज्ञान का कोई जगह से बुद्धि बाल विकास सबके बढ़ जाए। ये बच्चे सब चलते नहीं रहे, बोलते नहीं रहे। अब बाल बेटा खियावे लगा गए, घुमा रहे, लाता रहे, तो बोले लगे, चले लगे, सबकी फोटो खींच ले गए। आई बच्चे सब कमिम रहे, ललकियम रहे, पियरकियम हुई गए, नापा जाता है पापुरा।
नाम किनका नाम क्या?
राज।
हाँ?
राज।
राज।
यादव।
क्या उम्र है? राज की उम्र?
2 साल।
हाँ? 2 साल। हमारा भी बच्चा है, वो भी 2.5 साल का हो गया। बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है।
When we talk about stunting, we talk about height for age. And that doesn't say a lot. And it doesn't matter really if one is tall or not tall. What is important is that if you have a stunted growth, you're not developing your brain capacity as good as possible. Stunted growth leads to stunted lives. So you never are able to develop yourself to the full potential. So you will never be able to do the education that you would wish to do as a child, adolescent, as an adult. And as a result, you will also have jobs that may not be the jobs that you could have had if you wouldn't have had a stunted growth. So the first 1,000 days are the most important, from conception, so when the child or the fetus is still in the womb, up to the 2 years of age. So those 1,000 days will last forever, as we say.
Malnutrition, it's an issue that we really want to address. We want to use your help in communicating to people. What are the basics? What do mothers need to do? What do fathers need to do? What do families need to do? And what the government is doing needs to be informed to people so that they can make use of what is being provided for them.
And people, women particularly, they're also aware that their mother probably never had education and her children were born underweight and the children of those children were born underweight. So they see it as an opportunity to to change that vicious cycle from generation to generation. And now with schooling and many more schools, access to education is much more obvious than before. It makes it all very easy for women to stop and to say, you know what? My children are going to have a different life than I've had. I want my children to grow up healthy. I want them to be well fed. I want them to go to school, and I want them to use a toilet and wash their hands with soap. So it is very important that everyone looks at it very positively. Positive growth, positive lives, positive intellectual brain power, and positive in making decisions that impact positively on your life. So it is an all positive message if we get it right. And Amir, of course, is the person to get it right and to share that with hundreds of millions of people in South Asia.
So thank you so much. Especially this was a very hurried effort. We came back from the field yesterday. So thanks goes to the producer, director, editor, camera person, Mr. Adri Thakur, and camera person Rajesh Singh. They are here. So thank you so much. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the background music score was Kutumba again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the event to launch UNICEF South Asia's first regional ambassador, Mr. Aamir Khan. And so lunch is already served in the room at the corner. So I'd like to